today's digital event. We will be covering the quality assurance in pharmacy education. And I am Abby Kahali. I will be your moderator for the session. Next, please. So as I mentioned, my name is Abby Kahali. I'm a tenured faculty and Board of Trustees faculty at Roosevelt College of Pharmacy and Science and Health. I have the pleasure to include in this presentation my colleague, Dr. Abir Al-Ghanani. She is an associate dean and professor at Sullivan University College of Pharmacy in the US. And last but not least, Dr. Banan Kalalati. She is an assistant professor at the University of Qatar. Next, please. So as I mentioned to you, my current position, in addition, I have actually the privilege to serve as the quality assurance for the FIP, as well as serving as an associate editor for the FIP journal, Pharmacy Education. From other association, I'm currently the 2022 Public Health Chair for the American Association College of Pharmacy, as well as I share an advisory board member on the Pharmacy Education Journal. I also have the privilege to serve on the American Society of Health System Pharmacists advisory group on experiential, as well as on collaboration between academia and health system. And I chair the ambulatory care session for the Illinois Council of Health System Pharmacists. I'm also the current president for the Polish American Pharmacy Association, as well as the founding chapter. In the next slide, I'd like to walk you through what we're doing through the webinar here and invite you to chat in, please. So this webinar is being recorded, so we appreciate you being here live with us today. The recording will be available at the FIP website for event.fip.org. You can ask a question, please add them to the chat. And if you have any comment, please reply and give us feedback at the webinar FIP. And my colleague, actually, Dr. Kalalati, she will be adding the link to the survey in the chat. So please look for that. We would highly encourage you to include the survey in your responses today, if possible. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And we're going to see in the next slide, the FIP has several actually development goals. As you can tell, we are focusing on goal number 3, but please orient yourself to all the initiative that FIP is taking place. And all these goals are taking effective events throughout the academic year. And we look forward to see you participate in the events that actually meet your interest. And in the next slide, I'm going to walk you through, when you complete the survey, how do we ensure your privacy as well as your confidentiality. So the survey is going to be something you complete without having to include your information unless you wish to share that with us. It will be anonymous. And once we collect the data, the aggregated data will be analyzed and no identified of one person will be included. Your participation is 100% voluntary, and we actually received an IRB approval from the Roosevelt University for this particular survey. And your informed consent will be implied once you send us your responses. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to myself or my colleague Abir and Banan. And in the next slide, I want to also introduce my colleague from Australia, as we say, from down under. She is Brown and Clark. She's been very effective in her role in Australia for pharmacy education quality assurance. And I'm sure she would love to hear from you if you have any questions or if you have any interest as well. And they are hosting the FIP meeting next year, so hope to see you there. In the next slide, I'd like to walk you through today's program. So first, we're going to do the introduction, as I had the privilege to introduce my colleague. Next, we're going to walk you through actually why this is something that we want to do. So what's so important about the quality assurance for pharmacy education? And then we'll describe the actual instrument and what are some of future directions. In the next slide, I'm going to walk you through the objectives for today, but again, would love to hear from you. So at the end, you'll have an opportunity to kind of chime in and let us know if there's anything else we'd like to help you with. So the first objective is the why. Why do we actually conduct these surveys? What's so important? What's the rationale about the quality assurance on a consistent manner? And then we're going to describe to you the actual survey sections. So the survey has a 3 section. We'll go over them. And then we're going to provide information how to complete this survey and what we will be doing as future directions. In the next slide, I'm going to actually share with you why we're conducting this survey. So this survey is to build on previous initiative for quality assurance for FIP. And we want to take an assessment of where you are currently. We want to understand a little bit about the accreditation process and the accrediting bodies at your countries. And we want to compare them to help us all improve the quality assurance globally. So particularly this survey has a 3 sections. The first section talks about the processes for accreditation in your country. The second one talks about the quality assurance and what are some of the mechanisms for implementing that in your country. And then we'd love to hear from you your values, your perspective on how relevant that is, and what is the value added for this process, and what are some of the outcomes that you'd like and desire to achieve. Lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about this survey. Once we complete it, the reports will be shared with everybody and will help all of us to compare and contrast and see what are the areas that need an improvement. And in the next slide, I'm going to assure you again one more time that this is actually going to remain confidential, all the information, and your voluntary participation is highly, highly appreciated. Please take advantage of having the survey link available in the chat today to complete the survey. And now in the next slide, I'd like to again include my colleague here as our first speaker, Dr. Banan Kalalati. She is an assistant professor in clinical pharmacy and pharmacy department at the College of Pharmacy in Qatar University. She is a global lead, one of my colleagues on the DG3 quality assurance at FIP. And her research interests include qualitative research, learning theories, health professions education, and preceptors development, as well as capacity building and emergency preparedness and planning. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome my colleague, Dr. Banan, to start her session. Whenever you're ready, Dr. Banan, the floor is yours.
Hello from Qatar. Thank you for your introduction, Abby, and thank you for the FIP for hosting this very important and timely event. Hi from Qatar. While it's very early morning now where Abby is speaking, it's in the midday here in Qatar, and I'm sure that attendees from all over the world are coming from different time zones. So thank you very much for joining this webinar. Next. So I wanted to first start by talking about the importance of quality assurance. Why are we conducting this survey and why we are asking you to kindly respond to it? As we all know that the World Health Organization called for enhanced quantity, quality, and relevance of health professional training in general, whether it's pharmacy or other health professions, to strengthen country health systems and improve the health outcomes. FIP, in response to that, and the UNESCO, United Nations UNESCO, jointly recognized the need to build capacity and expertise in quality assurance. And because multiple stakeholders have a strong interest in the quality of pharmacy and pharmaceutical science indication, notably government, policymakers, regulators, professional organizations, academia, practitioners, students, funders of education, accrediting agency, QA organizations, and most importantly, the public. All of these multiple stakeholders will be interested in having a quality assurance or a quality pharmacy education, because it will ultimately influence their health and their use of medication. Also, academics, policymakers, and pharmacy profession representatives around the globe are frequently called upon to collectively improve the competencies of pharmacists to meet the increasing societal healthcare needs. And we all know that the role of pharmacists have dramatically changed in the last few decades. And that's why changes in their expected competencies are taking place. And this, of course, will need changes in the pharmacy education. So what is the status of quality assurance in different countries? According to the literature, some countries, there are no QA system at the national level, leaving adherence to international or regional QA standards as an option for higher education system. So there is no national QA system at all. And if the higher education institution would like to adhere to international or regional QA system, then they can do so. In other countries where there is unavailability of QA systems, internally or externally, of course, the result of that is challenges in the education, because there is no measurement or benchmark to know if they are doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Next. Adherence to international or regional QA standards is not always the optimum solution. Why? Because it may result in complying with standards that might not be necessarily suitable for the national context. So if we only rely on adopting international standards without really trying to map it with our needs, this is not going to be the optimum solution. So in pharmacy education, optimal quality assurance measures require a vision for pharmacy practice and professional education, and an understanding of the philosophy and purpose of quality assurance in pharmacy education. So it's not about just bringing other systems and other standards and adopting them. We need to have a vision, and we need to have an understanding of the purpose of quality assurance. The world has been facing disasters in the last few years. And this is if we are only talking about COVID-19 disaster, but of course there are many disasters that took place. And with that, there was a disruption of the education. Therefore, curricula had to be revised to prepare the pharmaceutical workforce for expanded roles during similar crises. So, most interestingly, after the COVID-19 and after we've been all challenged with the online education, and even not only online education, even the experiential learning was done remotely, we have to rethink about our curricula and think how we are going to be prepared for similar crises in our education. And with that, we need to have a quality assurance system to make sure that there is a quality of our revised curricula. Academic institutions need to support their academic staff in building and updating their practical experiences in various aspects, including teaching, research, and service. And this again comes with the several changes that is taking place globally, and specifically in the role of the pharmacist, and having the people who teach our students, the faculty members, who are on the top responsibility of preparing our students. We need to make sure that they are supported in building their practical experiences and competencies, because they might be old and obsolete if they are not updated. And this again requires quality assurance for their practical experiences, and also for the continuous professional development of the academic staff. Next. So with that, I think that we highlighted why quality assurance is important. Now I will take you through some initiatives that have taken place by the FIP, because FIP has been always responsive to changes in education and have been always initiative in conducting initiatives in ensuring that the pharmacy education is under strict quality. So the first initiative was the FIP Global Framework for Quality Assurance of Pharmacy Education. This framework was developed originally in 2008, and it was revised and updated in 2014. Can you go to the next slide, please? So this is the FIP Global Framework for Quality Assurance of Pharmacy Education. And maybe some of you came across this framework before. According to the framework, there are 5 pillars of pharmacy education, which are context, structure, process, outcomes, and impact. So this is the pillars of the quality assurance of pharmacy education. And there are 3 foundations for pharmacy education, quality pharmacy education, which is ethics, which focus on attitude and value, practice, which focus on experience, and science, which is the base for knowledge. So these are the competencies that we aim to provide the students through the pharmacy education with. So these are the 8 components of quality assurance according to this framework, including the 5 pillars and the 3 foundations. Can you go to the previous slide, please? So according to this framework, and the aim of this framework actually is to identify the core principle and elements considered essential for an effective approach to quality assurance of pharmacy education. So any institution can do this identification through the framework. Also, the framework facilitates the establishment of QA systems in countries where no such formal systems exist, and to improve existing system. And this is the problem that we've been talking about, that in some countries there are no such systems, and in other countries they are just adapting international or regional systems without making the proper adaptation. This framework can be adapted or adopted and built upon to suit national needs, systems, and conditions. So this was, as I said, developed in 2018 and revised in 2014. So just imagine how early FIP has been thinking about quality assurance in pharmacy education. After that, FIP has launched 3 milestones for pharmaceutical education in 2016 in Nanjing conference, and I think that most of you heard about that. These milestones are the FIP Global Vision for Education and the Workforce, FIP Pharmaceutical Workforce Development Goals, BWDGs, and the FIP Nanjing Statements on Pharmacy Education. So these are the 3 milestones, the vision and the development goals and the Nanjing statements. So if we look deep at these 3 elements, we will find that all of them have a mention and have a special interest in quality assurance of pharmacy education. For example, the FIP Pharmaceutical Workforce number 3, BWDG 3, which is quality assurance, indicates that country should have transparent, contemporary, and innovative processes for the quality assurance of needs-based education and training system. So it indicates how important it is to have a quality assurance that is need-based. Now, also looking at these 3 milestones, we find that quality assurance has been identified as one of the 8 clusters of the FIP Nanjing statements, which says says this cluster key mechanisms to identify opportunities for improvement in pharmacy education to ensure achieving sustainable performance and suitable competencies of the future workforce. So one of the 8 clusters of the Nanjing statement has focused about mechanisms for improvement of pharmacy education. Next. Again, next. Okay, no, I mean, that would be the previous one. Yes, this one. So this is now the third initiative from QA, from FIP in QA, is building on the FIP BWDGs. As we said, that there are 3 milestones. One of them is the BWDGs. In 2020, FIP has again revised its BWDGs to launch the 21 FIP development goals. So instead of BWDGs, it became a 21 FIP development goals. So it's not only focusing in workforce development. The objective of this new development of the goals is to bring workforce, practice, and science. So the practice and science elements were added to the early BWDGs, so to form the DGs only, into one pharmacy transformative framework in alignment with wider global imperatives such as UNESCO Sustainable Goals and WHO Global Strategy in Human Resources Workforce 2030. The workforce element of the FIP development goals targets the global availability of transparent, contemporary, and innovative process for the QA needs-based education and training system. So if we go to the following slide, we will find exactly in details the quality assurance FIP development goal number 3. And before, when it was earlier developed in 2016, it was only workforce. And with the revision in 2020, the practice and science elements were included. So let's go through each one of them. We will find that FIP development goal number 3, which is workforce and education element, says that there should be a transparent, contemporary, and innovative processes for the quality assurance of needs-based education and training system. So it's the same as it was in 2016. But now we have the practice element, which says that there should be transparent, contemporary, and innovative processes for the quality assessment, monitoring, and improvement in services in practice. And the science element says that quality and integrity in pharmaceutical research, development, manufacturing, and regulations to assure access to safe and effective medical products globally. So there is this is an expansion of the quality assurance. Back to the previous slide, please. So this is the third initiative of FIP on quality assurance of pharmacy education. Now, the fourth initiative of FIP was the policy statement on quality assurance of pharmacy and pharmaceutical science education. This was originally developed in 2010, and it was updated and revised this year in 2022. And my colleagues in this webinar, Abi and Abir, were members in the policy statement committee, and I was chairing this committee, and we successfully completed our mandate of updating the policy to be suitable for the 2022 and beyond years. The purpose of this policy statement is to outline the guiding principle for quality assurance of pharmacy and pharmaceutical science education. and to offer recommendations for key stakeholders in pharmacy and pharmaceutical science education. And finally, it acts as a foundation for quality assurance in education, supported by FIP existing and forthcoming tools, frameworks, and publications on quality assurance. So this is a very, very important policy statement on quality assurance, and you can access it online in FIP resources. Next. Next. Now coming to the last and not least initiative on quality assurance by FIP, which is the focus of our seminar today, is that the global leads of the One FIP Hub development goal number 3, which is Abir, who will talk after me now, myself, and Brunoin, who is not joining us today, but who has been a very active member. We managed to develop a QA in education, a self-assessment tool for pharmacy and pharmaceutical science education. This tool is very, very important, and it was posted for you in the chat box, and it takes only 5 to 10 minutes of your time, or even 5 to 7 minutes. You can do it at your free time today, in the evening, or during the weekend. This weekend, it will really not take a lot of your time. The aim of this tool is to understand the status of quality assurance of pharmacy and pharmaceutical science education program around the world. We really want to understand that. And based on that, we plan the implementation of any change that may upscale the standards of the education and training that they deliver. So the results of this tool or of this analysis is going to be shared with all of you, so that you plan for any changes and upscale in your standards. And it will help in identifying areas of improvement and offer recommendations at a global level to continuously improve the quality assurance of pharmacy and pharmaceutical science education. So the outcome and the benefit of collecting this data through the self-assessment tool is going to be really very valuable. Now I will leave the floor for my colleague, Abby, who is going to introduce our third colleague, Abir, to this webinar. Thank you very much, and see you in the QA session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Banan. That was very thorough and explanation. Why should we all take part of the participation on the survey? I'd like to encourage you again to please complete the survey and let us know if you have any questions. Next slide, please. I have the honor to also introduce our colleague, Dr. Abir Al-Ghananim. She is a professor and associate dean for research at the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences at Sullivan, Kentucky in the US. Dr. Abir, she is also an academic leadership fellow at the AACP and past chair for the ACPE, as well as she led a board of trustees position at the University of Jordan. And she's part of our DG3, so I am honored to welcome her. And Dr. Abir, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abby. Thank you so much, Dr. Banan, for the nice presentation. As a continuation to our quality assurance tool, basically, I just want to remind everybody, please try your best to fill the survey today. And the link is at the chat, has been posted for all of you. This survey has been approved by IRB, and Dr. Abby did a great job helping us as the team to get it approved by the IRB in a timely manner. Basically, we're trying to learn more about the quality assurance of your pharmacy program, and basically at the level of the initial level of your pharmacy degree or licensure. So we are more into the BS or the PharmD, which is the initial intro pharmacy degree to practice or to get the licensure. We're trying to understand the status of the quality assurance of basically, like, you know, your pharmacy programs in your country, how those education program accreditation process from quality assurance perspective. Learning more and more will help us definitely add to the knowledge and be able to share with all. Next, please. So as my colleagues described at the beginning, our survey or our tool has basically 3 sections. With section number 1, we are focusing more on the accreditation process and the accrediting bodies that are involved with the accreditation process at your college or at your school. Try to get some insight about this process and how it is done and who is doing it. So basically with the question number 1, which is the main question to open the survey, basically would ask you whether does your university, faculty, school, or academic program undergo periodic accreditation by an external accrediting body. Now, based on that question, if you answer it yes, you would continue from 2 and go all the way down. If you answer no, then you skip those questions and you go to question number 8. Assuming that somebody answered yes, we move to question number 2. And in this question, we're asking which of the following is accredited. And in this question, you better pick or check all those apply. So is the accreditation covers the educational institute, which is the whole university? Is it for the school of pharmacy or the college of pharmacy that you have? Or is it at the level of the academic program, if you have, sections? Or if it's different, please specify, and we give you a chance to add based on your school or your university or your program or your licensure system. Now, the third question will be, who is the accrediting body at your university? Now, and in that question also, please select all that apply. Is it the Minister of Health? Because we know in some countries, the accreditation would be covered by an umbrella from the Minister of Health. In some other countries, it might be the Minister of Education. In others, it could be like, a private or a non-government accrediting body. In others, it could be a regional, a state, or a province or national professional organization. In other countries, could be like, government agencies. Some countries, they do have a government agency that is, the agency itself is responsible for, as an accrediting body in that country. If that's the case, please specify or put the name of that government agency that do the accreditation at your country. It might be civil society. It could be other social stakeholders and communities. If that's the case, please specify. Or it could be non-applicable, maybe none of those, or it's not applicable at this stage. With question number 4, we say like, who's the accrediting body for your school or for your faculty of pharmacy? And in this stage, we're more focusing on the school. The previous one, we were talking about the big umbrella, the university. And with this one here, we're talking more about your faculty or your school of pharmacy. And the same thing applies. Who are responsible basically for the accrediting or who's the accrediting body that take care of your school or university? Is it the Minister of Health? Is it Minister of Education? Is it private or non-government accrediting body? Or is it like, the national professional organization, like, the pharmacy board or, other government agencies, exactly as you did with the question number 3. But in this one, we are more focusing on the school or at the faculty of pharmacy itself. And then, like, at the program level, sometimes you might have schools that have, like, under the program level, like, at that level, who is the accrediting body? Is it like, is it the Minister of Health, Minister of Education, exactly as you did with the question number 4 and 3. But at this level, we are more thinking about the departmental or the program itself. And moving on to question number 6, basically, we need to understand more about the accreditation activity undertaken. So the question says, what type of accreditation activity is undertaken? Are they doing accreditation site visits by teams, or are they basically doing accreditation by like internal quality assurance within the institute? Or is it like, some sort of written submissions to external bodies, or maybe none, So basically, we're trying just to see the type of accreditation activity that is undertaken at your school. Next, please. And continuation to section number 1, as I said, our survey has 3 sections, and section 1 is the longest, in fact, but it gives us a lot of feedback and information that would help us later on as we disseminate the outcomes and share with everybody. With the question number 7, the question would be, how often is your program subjected to an accreditation evaluation? So is it done like, add all that apply, maybe you have the program going maybe like, once per accreditation cycle, by accreditation site visits, basically, maybe like, every 1 to 6 years, maybe regular monitoring, that's more than 6 years, maybe occasionally, never, or others. If that's the case, please specify how often is your program subjected to the accreditation evaluation. Now, with the question number 8, remember, from question number 1, if you answer no, you're gonna move all the way down to question number 8. While if you ask yes, answer yes, you're gonna move with all the questions, including number 8. With the question number 8, we're asking about how often is your university subjected to an accreditation evaluation? And please, with this one, also select all that apply. Is it like done once per accreditation cycle, accreditation by an accreditation site visit, in person or virtually every 1 to 6 years? Or is it like a regular type monitoring, like, more than 6 years, or it's done occasionally or never been done? Or if you have specifics you would like to share with us, please, with all means, go ahead and write it down for us. Next, please. Now, with section number 2, we are trying to get an insight on understanding more the accreditation standards. And this is really, although we're not asking a lot of questions, and this is part of our teamwork, we tried our best not to make the tool like, long. We tried to get it as efficient as possible for everybody, so we have the best use of your time to be able to get the outcomes that would help us enlighten our way to move and do that report that we could share with all of you, where we can share like, the levels of quality assurance accreditation at your program, at your college, at your university, depends on the country, and be able to share this knowledge and be able to learn from each other. So with that being said, we try our best to make the tool not long, so you don't spend like half an hour filling the tool. It should be a few minutes, but in the same time, we are really benefiting a lot from the information you are providing. So with this one, we worked hard to make sure that, we're specifying the questions, not more than 4 questions here, but trying our best to get an insight on the accreditation standards that you are using at your country. So basically the main question here is, are there regional, state, provinces, or national accreditation standards available for pharmacy program, specific for your country? And if it's yes, you answer yes. If it's no, we need to know. And then if it is yes, then the question would be, who sets the accreditation standards for the pharmacy program in your country? Is it basically the accreditation organization or accrediting organization? Is it like, regulator, a pharmacy board, a council, etc.? Is it professional organization? Is it a government body such as the Ministry of Health, or is it the Ministry of Education? And if it's others, please specify. We would like to learn and share this knowledge as we are making our report. Now, if you answer no to the first question, where we are asking about if there are regional, state, or provinces or national accreditation standards available specifically for your country? If the answer is no, then what standards or framework are used for quality assurance of pharmacy education? Are you following the FIP global framework, which is really nice, but we would like to know, that would help a lot in adding our report and disseminating our knowledge. Are you following the World Health Organization standards? Maybe none. Or if there are specifics, which is not the FIP global framework, not the World Health Organization, but you still have somebody who is you have a standards framework that you are using, not listed, please specify. Now, with the question number 4, what components, requirements are included in your accreditation standards? Please apply or tick all those applies. We are trying to look for the requirements included in your accreditation standards. Is it more indicative curriculum focus? Is it prescribed hours of study? Is it prescribed numbers and levels of academic staff, learning outcomes and or graduate outcomes, performance outcomes based on the evaluation, experiential learning requirements, interprofessional education requirements, or others that you could specify for us? And with all means, you can tick all that apply. A lot of schools or countries, in fact, they have all those components are requirements of in their accreditation standards. But as you can see from this question, it's going to help us understand better, what is the focus of your accreditation standards? Is it more in the curriculum? Is it more in the evaluation performance of the faculty or for the system? Is it based on the prescribed hours of study? Is it on experiential learning requirements? Is it more in the interprofessional, or does it include interprofessional education requirements? We would love to learn, and your participation in this survey will be of tremendous help to us to get this information and be able to include it in our report. Next, please. The final section of our tool is more talk about the value, the relevance, and outcomes of accreditation. And in this one, we try to make it as easy as possible for all of you guys, as you can see. So we're not using all of your time, but also we are getting beneficial outcome data from your answering the survey. So we do have questions, and we made a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is strongly disagree, and then move it all the way to 5, where you are strongly agree. So if you strongly agree, we'll put 5. If not, you're going to go down in the scale, down all the way to 1, which is strongly disagree. So the question number 13, it says the accreditation system or systems for pharmacy education in my country are relevant. That's your own perspective. And I'm sure my colleagues told you that, whatever answers you put in this survey, it's going to be anonymous. It's covered by IRB. We're not sharing any of your information with anybody. We're just trying to put some sort of understanding per country, how the accreditation, how the quality assurance part is doing or done in that side of the world. So the other question, the second question, number 14, the accreditation systems for pharmacy education in my country is or are added value. And as again, this is based on your fair understanding or assessment of the system at your country. Question number 15, the standards used for accreditation of pharmacy programs in my country are appropriate for our context. Again, your own perspective. How do you feel about that? On a scale of 1 to 5. Question number 16, the processes for accreditation in my country are transparent. Well, how do you agree with this statement? Number 17, the processes for accreditation in my country are fair. Same thing. We would like to hear your opinion. The quality assurance of education in my country assists the maintenance and advancements of standards of pharmacy practices. And again, your fair assessment of this. Do you feel that, the quality assurance of education in your country is assisting the maintenance and advancements of the standards of the pharmacy practice as you are getting students graduating and going to the workforce? How do you feel those quality assurance of education managements and standards, is it assisting in enhancing the pharmacy practice at your country? Statement number 19, accreditation of education in my country assists the maintenance and advancements of standards of pharmacy practice. Same thing. I'm talking more about the country level, like, is those accreditation of education. So we're looking for in statement number 18 on the quality assurance of education. And in statement number 19, we're looking for accreditation of education in your country. Does this assist the maintenance and advancements of standards of pharmacy practice? And then the final statement, basically, or we're trying to assist based on your feedback, would be to describe for us the members of the pharmacy and or university accreditation panel, and feel free to add any additional comments on quality assurance at your country, something that you felt it will be beneficial for us to know, and we did not cover through the questions that we had in our survey tool. So we really look forward to hear from you. Your participation gonna be of tremendous help to us and to everyone as we share this info and be able to work together globally to enhance the quality assurance of pharmacy education and practice worldwide. Next, please. So this, basically, as you can see, I described for you our survey tool. And as you saw, it's not that long. It should not take from you more than 10, 15 minutes at the most to fill. It's going to add tremendous information to us to help us share those reports with everyone and be able to learn from each other. So as we are disseminating the tool, and please try your best to fill, we're going to collect the data once we have sufficient participants in the survey filling the information. We're going to collect the data and we'll do data analysis, and then we'll create reports, figures, and statistical analysis of the data. We'll make a nice report and we'll be able to disseminate this report's results to everyone, to all interested parties, in order to be able to share the knowledge and learn from each other. Now, as you can see, this instrument will help us identify areas of improvements and support for pharmacy education providers across the globe. So we learn from those advanced, and we can identify areas where we can improve things for developing places where they are still working on their quality assurance accreditation standards and reports. One of the benefits of your responses is that we will develop a report, and this report will be available to all FIP members and will be shared through the FIP framework. Also, definitely our team will benefit from any help from anybody. So if you are interested in contributing to the work of the Quality Assurance Development Hub, please list your name and contact details. As you are filling the survey, at the end of the survey, there is like a designated section there where you can add your name, your contact details, and if you're interested, we'll be more than happy to work with you and benefit from your experience. But definitely, this is asking everybody with please try your best to fill the survey. We cannot do data, we cannot analyze data or do report without your help. So please allocate 10 to 15 minutes of your time, fill the survey. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for your participation. It means a lot to us. Our team works so hard for this, and we look forward to collect data and based on your participation and create the report and share the knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rabi. That was very helpful to walk us through the survey instrument And I would like to actually invite my colleague, Dr. Benan. I think we're all going to be going through the chat as well as the question. So next slide. I think we wanted to make sure that you will share with us any questions that you may have. And Dr. Benan, would you kindly read the questions for us? I know I already answered the first one specifically that talks about when is deadline. So ideally, we would like to have the responses by the end of December. So this December 31st, 2022, and the sooner the better. We also, as you heard from my colleague, we would like to have a response rate that is approaching. We don't expect it 100%, but close as possible. And some of the chat questions came and comment about not being able to answer the entire survey on the individual basis. Basically, it's not really meant to be an individual response. So you're more than welcome to complete the section that you are familiar with, and then invite your colleague to answer the rest of the sections. And any other comment, Dr. Benan, that you'd like to share, or responses from the chat or the question that we've seen so far?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Abby. As far as I remember, the FIP for now, they are planning to close the survey in the end of November, which is really approaching in 25 days. They might extend it, as you mentioned, till end of December, but this is probable, not sure. So we really encourage all participants to fill in the survey before end of November so that you don't miss the opportunity. And also people who were not able to attend today, please share it with people who you know that they are interested. If you know any people who are responsible in their colleges, or who are really working towards accreditation, or even they don't have any system and you think that they will be interested. I know that we are, as pharmacy educators, we are dear colleagues, and we like to benefit each other. So please, by all means, share it with your colleagues and ask them to respond to the survey. And if they feel that they are in a position in their colleges where they don't know the answers to all questions, they can simply forward it to their deans, associate deans, whoever they think that they might be able to answer all questions. It's very important. It's the benefit of all colleges of pharmacy. So please, before the end of November, as I told you, I promise it won't take more than 7, 8 minutes, 10 minutes maximum, and you will be all set. Any other questions? We are happy to answer any other question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Benan. I'm monitoring the chat as well as the question section. And I think it might be a good idea for those of you who do not have a fully developed accreditation system is to add to the comments, actually. So the last section, I will say it's definitely something that you could base it on where you are or where you'd like to be. And I think what we want to make sure that we also give you time today. So I know by design, we try not to take the entire hour. We're going to leave you with a few minutes to start with the survey, but we will be here if there are any more questions. And in the meantime, I wanted to acknowledge the entire leadership and the staff at FIP. I really want to highlight that what we do here at the DG3 lead would not be possible without the leadership, Professor Dominique, Catherine, as well as Toyin and Ralph, my colleagues, as well as the staff, Lena, Marwan, Ali, Mila. Literally all of them deserve a round of applause. So let's go ahead and recognize them. I also wanted to share with you that we are currently finalizing, Naoko, my colleague, and I and my team, we've work together on a chapter and a book that's FIP going to make possible for you to be available. And please, if you have not joined FIP, consider joining us. I think this is the only association that I am a member of to be proud of representing the quality assurance lead that allows you to collaborate. And if you look at the chat, literally people across the globe are collaborating. So you'll have an opportunity to do what I call a quality assurance of pharmacy education globally. You'll also have an opportunity to do lessons learned. So what are the lessons learned? As I recall from the Sevilla, Spain, we did bring some lessons that we can implement in different parts of the world. So for instance, if United States, we are successful in vaccination, immunization, why not teach other countries how to establish that for their own pharmacists? So it's a continuation quality improvement. It's a continuation of continuous professional development. And Dr. Banan, I'd like to also invite the staff if there are any more comments. I think we may have one more slide.
I will just also add to Dr. Abi thankful remarks, Ian Bates, who was the responsible of the hub, WDG hub, and his continuous involvement in educational matters in FIP are really recognized and appreciated. So thank you as well, Ian Bates.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing that. I know that Dr. Banan herself, she and myself, we were taking a part of one of her students who actually is conducting a research with Dr. Bates' leadership. Would you like to elaborate on where that research is currently and where to look for the information for those who might be interested?
Actually, we are going to invite you maybe in a few weeks to completing another survey that is related to capacity building and quality assurance in pharmacy education, but a more detailed one that is directly mapped to the WD, to the development goal number 1, capacity building, and to quality assurance development goal. We are working on final stages of the survey, and we will send it to you in due time. And all of these efforts are very important to keep us on track and to keep improving our educational system for the best of our students and our societies.
Okay, I think as we promised, we're going to give you a couple of minutes back to your time so you can actually log into the survey. And I want to again thank you all for participating. We will be here and we are available. You're more than welcome to reach out to us. Thank you, everybody, and hope to look forward to seeing you at the future FIP initiative. And stay safe and have a great day.